What's going on, everyone? I have a great episode for you today with Core DAO. But before I get to the episode itself, I want to share a little bit about this new platform I've been using called Cryptonomy. Cryptonomy is a venture fund, trading organization, and a crypto credit company all wrapped into one. It's really cool. Users can utilize this platform as a crypto wallet, staking platform, or become part of the company's flagship product, the Launchpool, which is closely tied to the company's venture operations itself. I recently joined Cryptonomy and I'm loving all the features that they have available. I was able to seamlessly deposit funds into Cryptonomy so I could take advantage of their flexible staking, which was really appealing to me, given the fact that we're getting really close into going back into a bull market. So I really want to take advantage of some yield earning opportunities. Aside from the flexible portion of it, I really also enjoyed the fixed staking option that they offer, which is a more efficient utilization of staked assets, resulting in a much higher APY. So for example, you could lock up Bitcoin for, let's say, 6 months and earn higher yields as a result. And I will likely be doing this myself, given the likelihood that Bitcoin enters another bull run here in 2025. I mean, it's already at its all-time high, so maximizing yield is a no-brainer to me. So for yield, flexible, fixed yield, Cryptonomy is amazing. Another great aspect about Cryptonomy is the launch pool. It's a bit more complex, so I'll be diving into this a bit more in future videos, but in essence, you can see all the hottest funded projects, their ROIs, total raised, breakdown by niche, GameFi services, etc. It's pretty cool. So you can see everything in the ecosystem and participate. Lastly, Cryptonomy has wonderful support. Honestly, a lot of exchanges out there just don't have the right customer support experience to help users with their funds, with transactions, with staking, with other functionalities within their platforms. And so Cryptonomy offers something that's really nice, and that's the ability to communicate and get assistance when you need it and have people there that are really helpful and available and knowledgeable about your funds, the exchange itself, and then kind of like hold your hand through the process and give you what you need to feel a little bit more confident and I think secure and a degree of peace of mind. I'll be providing you guys with updated insights on my experience personally with Cryptonomy and the things I'm learning, exploring, and finding out as I go. So make sure to, stay tuned for that in future videos. We're actually going to make a quick deposit here so we can stake using the Flex here on Cryptonomy with Bitcoin. And with that, we're going to get a 24% on average APR for our yield, which will be fantastic for the flexible option here. We're also going to do some fixed staking with Ethereum here. We're going to set it for 6 months, which is going to put us at about 18% yield. Go ahead and confirm that, and you'll see it pop up where you can monitor your fixed staked coins. And make sure to check it out yourself, guys. Go down to the link below in this video, in the description, and in the comment section. I'll tag it there as well. Sign up, give it a go. It's fantastic. Take advantage of some of the yield opportunities. Try out the different features, and let me know what you guys think as well in the comment section. So with that said, let's jump into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the BlockHash podcast. Today with another amazing guest, this time from Core DAO. We have the initial contributor here, Brendon Sedo, here on the show to talk to us more about what they're doing and what Core DAO is all about. So Brendon, welcome to the show, man. It's a pleasure to have you on today and to dive into Core DAO quite a bit more detail, but how you doing? How's it going? And I know you just got back from Token 49, so how was that as well?
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you, Brandon, for hosting. We were joking about the Brandon connection, so we'll get that out of the way right here. But no, excited to talk core and explain. Yeah, and I'm coming fresh off Token 2049, which I see as like the Super Bowl of crypto meetups and events. I think like literally everyone was there, so no jet lag. I'm back at it and have a lot of follow-ups, but it was really great to see the energy. There was a lot of like Bitcoin energy as well.
Yeah.
And we had a lot, have some contributors in Singapore itself. So it was just like a really good group of people. So coming off the high of Singapore still.
Very nice. Where are you based? Was that a long trip for you?
Yeah, I'm based in the Euro region, so it was a bit of a trip. We also did Korea
Okay.
Blockchain Week, which is a big one. So I ended up spending time in Asia, just meeting different community members, VC partners that we have, projects, and actually spent 3 weeks out in Asia. So met a whole bunch of folks that are involved in some way in the core ecosystem, and it was an absolute blast.
Tell me about yourself too. I'm sure people are also going to be very curious to what your background is as well. Maybe what your story is getting into Web3 and, how that kind of merged into Core DAO as well.
And so I just give a bit of high level. So I've been in tech about 15 years or so. Um, initially in what the new crypto kids would call Web2. So out of university started a software company called Joist, and was basically a back office or like management tool in the construction industry that helped residential contractors run their business. And I did that for about 8 years. Raised VC money, grew a team, and ended up selling it to a private equity group backed by Silver Lake, which went public a couple of years after. And so that was kind of a bit about my background. So just genuinely curious, generalist, took an idea to an exit, which was a blast. But crypto had also always been like this side passion. So if you were in tech in the early 2010s, everyone was talking about Bitcoin and then Ethereum.
Hmm.
You obviously heard about it running in the circles. So it just piqued my curiosity. And so I was always just playing around on the side, listening to or like reading research reports and seeing what was going on, but was pretty focused on my company. So after I exited it, I just had a lot more time on my hands to go to dive deeper and play, honestly, just play around more. So I kind of used that time. It was around DeFi summer or so. Allowed me to go a bit deeper. I actually played around, launched a couple dApps myself, and just started to play around and was thinking about what ideas would be interesting to build within Web3. It really kind of pulled me in, and during that journey, reconnected with some previous folks that I knew that were building, contributing at Core and kind of launching this brand new chain. And when I heard about Core for the first time, I'm a big Bitcoin guy. Like I was fully nomadic for like 4 years. I love the non-sovereign store of value. It really spoke to me. I see the money printing, so I just like really
Right.
understood that concept. And then they had also built up a pretty massive community of loyal folks pre-launch. And I think the mission to scale Bitcoin and bring some learnings from EVM and ETH into the Bitcoin ecosystem was exciting. So yeah, I joined as an early contributor and have been here, 2.5 years or so. And I'm proud that we've come a long way, but that was kind of my journey into core and crypto generally. So yeah, I've been in tech a long time. I've been playing in crypto for basically a decade now, and then joined the core. Joined as a contributor at Core just about 2.5 years ago.
Would you say it was more or less the community aspect of it that was attractive, or was it, Bitcoin itself and what it can do and what it could stand for? Or was there like a specific element that really got you excited, or just everything in general?
There were two things, right? First was the scalability of Bitcoin. So here's an example. Like have been involved in Bitcoin in a while. I was maybe one of these early adopters that bridged Bitcoin into ETH and took out a maker loan and made some investments. And I actually bought a condo that way because I didn't want to sell Bitcoin. So I guess like I just naturally saw Bitcoin as an asset that folks want to keep. They want to get more Bitcoin. Um, but you want to do things with it too. And so that was always just, I guess, a thought in my mind as someone who'd been in the space for a bit of time. So basically the thinking with Core is you've got this huge asset, Bitcoin, like $1.5 trillion in liquidity, but there's not a whole lot you can do with Bitcoin. And there's not a whole lot you can do on the Bitcoin network other than send transactions. There's no smart contract, there's no staking technology. But we love Bitcoin for what it is. So the mission to unlock that utility with a scaling chain, right, or side chain. So I should jump in. Core is
Hmm.
a layer one chain that's fully EVM compatible, meant to scale Bitcoin, and that was just very exciting. I mean, to me, that's a massive opportunity. Kind of see this whole Bitcoin economy unfolding, and a ton of use cases that'll emerge that'll be handled by side chains. And to me, that was just like a no-brainer, a huge opportunity, and something that could be used globally. So it was just very exciting. And I think we'll double click into what Core does a bit more after. It's probably
Hmm.
still a little murky. And then the second piece was the community. one of the things with my first company, we kind of hit lightning in a bottle because we were really early with the mobile trend. Like iPhone had come out, we were a mobile based SaaS product, and a lot of it was just like really good timing. And we had a big user community that was very organic from the start. And it's like you don't see that very often. And what I noticed was the core team, and to this day, the core Twitter, has a amazing community, and that they had kind of pre-built before launch. And a lot of that was like, this was a fair launch. There were no VCs, no early token sales, included the community from the start. And that to me is like very special, because you could have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have a community or folks that want to use it, it's like you're not really going anywhere. And the community that was built here even 2.5 years ago was just super impressive, man. So those are the two things that, like, to me, it was a no-brainer mission to contribute to.
Yeah, the community is always something that's very attractive to me, because you don't find it in any other industry. Whether you work in the IoT space or AI, or you work for SpaceX and you're shooting rockets up into space, there just isn't the same religious zealot type of personality structures being developed in those communities that you see in crypto. And I think it's very fascinating, because blockchain in essence is like a back end technology, for the most part. Like, it's going to build amazing tech and applications and things on top of it, but it is kind of something on the back end. So it's just kind of funny to see how these communities kind of grow and aspire. But it's really cool that that's kind of your story into Core DAO. I guess let's talk about Core a bit more, because there's a lot of different aspects here. I noticed there's Core DAO and there's Core Chain. Are those two separate elements, or one and the same, or how do those kind of come together? And then,
Sometimes can use those. And sorry, I think you had a bit more into the question, so I'll
oh
jump
no,
into
it's
that.
okay. We can start with that part
Yeah, so I
first.
think you can almost use them interchangeably at times, but specifically the DAO is the community, right? It's the
Okay.
community and the folks, whether it's contributing or it's honestly just a term for the large community of folks that are involved in some way, shape, or form with Core and the Core chain. And then Core chain is the blockchain itself, right? It's
Mhm.
the right now the leading Bitcoin scaling chain in terms of TVL, users, addresses, builders, Bitcoin staked, etc.
What would you say is the main objective of Core? Um, what was it built for?
Yeah, so the whole genesis here was, again, like, Bitcoin is so decentralized and secure. It's amazing. Uh, it's got the largest adoption by far. But then ETH kind of came around and brought smart contracts to the table, and this almost like, I don't think fungibility is the right word, but this ability to build on top of it and have more expansion of what you could do with the blockchain. So Core was really the genesis of both of these concepts. It's that like, let's take the decentralization security of Bitcoin. We want to, Core really wants to help scale Bitcoin around the globe, and bring the the capabilities of EVM into that blockchain as well. So you've got this EVM composable chain where you can have smart contracts, dApps, you can have money markets, games, but you've got the decentralization and security of Bitcoin. So it's built on top of Bitcoin. So you've kind of combined the best of both worlds. And the mission is really to expand the utility of Bitcoin. Really want to see Bitcoin flow to a chain where it can be used in like this, call it BTC-Fi or decentralized dApps, where you can borrow against it, you can participate in money markets, you could trade perps, and you can do that all on chain, which is currently not possible on the Bitcoin network itself. And then the other thinking was really aligning all the Bitcoin stakeholders with the chain, right? With this, when I talk about decentralization security. So specifically, the miners are helping secure Core chain. They delegate hash rate, so they're producing hash rate to create Bitcoin blocks, and they can actually redelegate that to secure Core. There's over 55% of miners securing Core chain today. So it's really important to get miners bought in. They're really the backbone of Bitcoin. They're forgotten a lot of times. They're doing the hard work. And every time there's a halving, there's more questions about their sustainability. So Core is kind of here to be a second block reward for miners to increase, help with their profitability and really align them with the Core blockchain to support it. And then secondly, we have a Bitcoin staking function. So what's cool is if you hold Bitcoin, you can participate in Core. You can secure it by staking Bitcoin. And you do that by issuing a time lock on the Bitcoin network. So you don't have to give up custody. You don't have to wrap, bridge, or move your funds in any way. You literally just issue what's called a hash time lock to yourself within your own wallet for a period of time. And that's helping helping us choose the validator set based on how much Bitcoin's been delegated to each validator. And you actually earn risk-free yield for that. So it's aligning Bitcoiners themselves and Bitcoin holders into the chain too. So now we've got this kind of loop and ecosystem where all the Bitcoin participants are bought in, they're incentivized, they see the value of this chain. And the goal long term is to really unlock this 1.5 trillion. And we think it'll be like 4 or 5 trillion asset pretty soon, into staking, into on-chain products, and really unlock it to flow into full crypto products.
I used to be a miner, so I understand the importance of miners in an ecosystem. That's how I actually got my start in this space. Completely different story, but
Love to hear that sometime, because the early
yeah.
miners have the best stories.
Well, yeah, just briefly on it, I guess. I was mining Ethereum and some of those other algorithms, as well as Bitcoin back in like 2017, 2018, and 2019, which is not that long ago, but feels like a long time ago at this point, with
It's
how,
like 7 years ago, It's like getting
yeah,
there.
it's
Yeah.
getting there. Yeah, I was GPU mining back when GPU mining was still kind of a real thing. I was one of those people going into the giant department stores and buying all the GPUs and pissing off the gamers, and people are Reddit posting mean things about me online. um, but I had this huge mining op, mainly for Ethereum and a few other algorithms, but 300 plus custom built GPU miners, rigs, and then each rig had like 5 or 6 GPUs linked up to it. Like we were getting pretty crazy into it.
Had some fans, industrial fans going on.
Oh yeah, we had a huge HVAC system and warehouse. It was constantly 110 degrees inside, like it was impossible to keep up with. You have to really do mining at scale for it to be a successful enterprise. You can't just run a couple miners. Like you might make a couple dollars here and there, and it's fun to be a part of that ecosystem, but there's no real incentive to do it unless you're doing hundreds, thousands of miners, and you have like a really streamlined ecosystem, or else it's just not profitable. It's not worth doing. It makes you appreciate those smaller miners though, that have participated in these networks for a long time, because they really don't get rewarded much. Like it takes a long time to earn enough to get, enough to buy yourself a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
They do it because they really enjoy and love this industry. So to all the miners out
Yeah,
there,
and I think
we appreciate you.
100%. And I think that's the beauty of Bitcoin. When we talk about, again, proof of work, decentralization, security, it's just, anyone can run a miner anywhere in the world at any time. And a lot of people are aligned with that mission. And that's a pretty incredible thing.
Do you guys do anything to incentivize miners to participate in Core, or do you have like a structure to work with them or a community to engage them? Like, are you guys doing anything in particular to really get them to feel part of the ecosystem?
I think the biggest thing is aligning incentives. You've had a lot of folks play around with different side chains, products, things linked to Bitcoin. And what you find is a lot of them have been kind of extractive from the Bitcoin ecosystem. Either they're like jacking up, the cost to produce a block without the appropriate fees necessarily. Or it's not actually helping the miners in any way. So it was important in Core's design, and we're getting now into like the consensus. At a high level, it's like, Core has a fixed supply of 2.1 billion tokens, right? And there's like an emissions curve for the next 80 years for block rewards. Those are meant to reward people who are helping secure the core chain, right? So those are specifically mining pools, Bitcoiners who stake Bitcoin, and then core holders who stake core. So just getting back to the miners, they're a big piece of the system because they're delegating hash, right? They're already producing hash rate, like exahashes on the Bitcoin network to produce Bitcoin blocks. They can redelegate that to validators on Core. And you could think of it as they're basically using their exahashes to vote for validators. Like, I really trust validator 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to delegate hash to them because I want them to be elected. They're going to be the best, and trusted folks to produce blocks on the core blockchain. And for doing that, right, because we basically stack rank validators every day and elect them based on how much hash they have, how much core they have, how much Bitcoin they have, for helping in that process, they earn rewards, right? They earn a percentage of those fixed emissions every day. So they're literally earning additional rewards for helping secure core chain, for the hard work they're already doing. And what's great is it helps decentralize core and secure core, and the validator set, and it aligns core blockchain with the miners and mining pools themselves.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you guys do that. It's definitely hard treading out there for a lot of miners, so it's awesome to see other potential incentives for them and ways to reap the rewards for being a part of the ecosystem. What about developers? What stands out about Core, I guess, for a developer that would make them want to build on it versus elsewhere? Because I know that there's a lot of different chains these days. The multi-chain ecosystem is constantly growing. What would you say is something about Core that stands out that might be very attractive for a developer to build?
Yeah, so I mean, I think core chain is looking at the dev ecosystem a little differently. Definitely not just splashing money around or paying people to launch on chain. The other thing is not looking or incubating its own projects, really looking for external proven builders to build something unique on core. That's gonna help build the core ecosystem. So yeah, I think taking a great approach there. That's why core is leading in terms of on-chain TVL right now, in terms of all Bitcoin chains. And I think in terms of all chains, we're at like number 17 now, for a relatively new chain and focused pretty much exclusively on Bitcoin. So it's pretty impressive, the scale at which we're at. And I still think it's super early because not a lot of Bitcoins come on chain yet. Uh, so yeah, what are builders interested in? So what we found is there's really like there's a whole bunch of things, but there's two that come to mind, maybe some more well as we chat. But the first is like we're very mission oriented. The goal is to unlock Bitcoin utility. Think it's a massive opportunity. Think that that's going to propel Core to be a top 10 blockchain just due to the size of the problem. So builders themselves, a lot of folks, their first step into crypto sounds like yours too was Bitcoin. There's
Hmm.
just like a soft spot, a belief, and frankly, product market fit with Bitcoin that resonates a lot with builders. They just haven't really been able to build much on Bitcoin. So what you see is a lot of folks are kind of coming back to that initial technology that brought them into Web3. They're aligned with Core's mission to unlock that. And that's just genuinely exciting. It's like it fires people up to tap into this huge Bitcoin supply and build a leading protocol or dApp that's going to get used by tons of people. And that brings me to the second point. Folks love that we have a big community. We have real users. We've got like one of the top, I think again, like top 20 chains in terms of usage by far in terms of Bitcoin chains. Just I think there was a Masari report that just came out that highlighted these pieces, but a lot of uniquely active wallets each week. And so because we did such a great job building up this community, it's like that your dApp's going to get used because this was like community launch project. There were again no VCs, no early pre-mines. The token just launched in January 2023, and the community got access to it, right? And if you're building something, spending all this time taking the risks as a founder, you want your stuff to be used, right? You don't want to be hopping chain to chain just collecting grants. Like folks want to build stuff that are actually used, and at Core Chain, there's real usage and people doing things on chain. So that's pretty exciting to people, and it's kind of created this nice flywheel.
Do you have any examples of some of those use cases that are, being created? Some of those smart contracts. What's starting to pop up? What are you noticing?
Yeah, a few things. I mean, so Core's it's not a new blockchain, but it's relatively new, right? So a lot of what we're seeing are the building blocks of what we call BTC-Fi, right? That's like basically use cases for Bitcoin on chain. So you think of that, you got your DEXs, liquidity to trade amongst different Bitcoin assets or Bitcoins and stables, money markets where you can borrow against Bitcoin. Lots of on-chain Bitcoin derivatives that are trying to come on chain and bring more Bitcoin on chain. Bitcoin derivatives where you can get exposure and actually trade with Bitcoin. So a lot of those kind of building blocks use cases have been exciting. We call that BitcoinFi. And then on the other side, because the core community is just so big and global, there's a lot of excitement around gaming projects. A lot of passive games, a lot of retail centric fun games because our community just likes those things. And it's something we don't talk about as much, but very interesting because there's just this massive community that loves playing games and passive games. So we've seen a
Mhm.
lot of adoption there as well, which has been really cool.
Yeah, gaming is, one of the few things everything seems to like trend towards when there's a new chain, there's new use cases, new things being built. I don't know if it's just the ease and simplicity of, creating something that's gamified or if it's because, at our heart, we just want games.
There's been a lot of latent demand to do stuff with Bitcoin. Not
Oh, yeah.
everyone's comfortable enough to do it on chain, but we talked a lot about the mining hash, but we launched like a Bitcoin staking piece, right, to our consensus as well. So again, you can stake Bitcoin, and that's been interesting. There's like 6,000 Bitcoin staked helping secure core chain. They're earning like anywhere from 3 to 4% in real yield, like not points, not fake yield. These aren't liquidity incentives. They're just getting some of Core's baked in block rewards each day. And that's been really exciting because I think you're just starting to see that, okay, I can get a risk-free rate for Bitcoin, and I don't have to give up custody, and I can help secure core chain. I think really see like a spectrum of Bitcoin yield products that are, starting with the risk-free product where you can just time lock on Bitcoin, help secure core chain, earn a portion of block rewards. Then you'll see things where, there's like an LST Bitcoin that we're excited that's coming out that we've announced where, trust assumptions are a bit different, a few more risks, not completely risk-free, but more opportunity to deploy on chain, earn more yield. And we kind of see that there's going to be a spectrum of Bitcoin yield products that are pretty exciting that aren't controlled by centralized entities like BlockFi and Celsius.
I want to ask you about BitcoinFi for a second because I know it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's its own ecosystem at this point, and it's more than just meme coins on Bitcoin and staking. Like it's definitely taking on its own ecosystem and coming into its own. Do you think that that's sustainable? Being able to do all this on top of Bitcoin, given Bitcoin is a much older chain, if not the oldest chain, and is a much more simplified ecosystem. And I don't know if Bitcoin is meant to handle all of this, but I could be wrong. I've heard people try and convince me the other way as well. So I'm just kind of curious, in your opinion, since you guys kind of are, doing this, what do you think the future of that looks like? And is that sustainable? Is it scalable? Um, what's the vision for it?
Yeah, so these are just my thoughts. I don't know what the future holds entirely, but there's a reason why Core took its approach. So the thinking, I think you're right. We can't really contort Bitcoin to do a million things in its current form. It's just it's not capable of doing it. Secondly, there's a lot of resistance to changing Bitcoin, which I think is a good thing, right? I think like,
Mhm.
Bitcoin's pretty thoughtful about any changes. So hence the need for side chains or scaling chains like Core, where you bridge in, they borrow security from Bitcoin, in Core's case from miners and Bitcoin stakers, and then you get all the value of high transaction throughput without congestion, et cetera, or security issues, by doing this on a scaling chain like Core. So, I think in the future there will be more trustless bridge. There's folks kind of working on a bunch of different scaling solutions that come towards bridging or more composability on Bitcoin itself. And I think what you're going to find is chains like Core will just adopt whatever the social consensus is. So if there's like a trustless bridge implementation with OPCAT or BitVM, which frankly, we're focused on building a scaling ecosystem and network that's going to be ready to scale and bring billions of dollars on chain. There's other folks focusing on like things like trustless bridges, and I think when that's unlocked, these side chains or what people will eventually call L2s will adopt that best technology, and there's going to be a lot of, I think, liquidity that flows into these ecosystems. And then what you'll find is Bitcoin will be this somewhat expensive settlement layer, and there'll probably be some sort of roll-up strategy, et cetera, so that you're not congesting the Bitcoin network. But it's actually a good thing that Bitcoin has more fees and more transactions because, again, it helps with miner sustainability, and it's going to actually sustain the Bitcoin network. So you need usage on Bitcoin. It obviously just doesn't have the ability to do something like Core, which is EVM compatible. But I think what you'll see is over time, it'll just become a large settlement layer, and then most of the transactions and executional pieces are going to happen on scaling chains like Core.
Yeah, I mean, it is very exciting. I'm curious to see how that shapes out going forward. But what about your guys' roadmap for, the rest of this year, but also going into 2025? What are some things you want to do with Core to continue developing that out? Maybe some new things you want to bring to it. And then, what might be exciting for future developers, miners, users in the ecosystem to maybe look forward to?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things on the roadmap, uh, some of which I don't think are public, but there's a few that we've announced. So we're very excited about this dual. We're coming out with a dual staking approach. So as a Bitcoin holder today, you can stake Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network without giving up custody. No need to wrap bridge or move it, right? You're just issuing a time lock in your Bitcoin wallet on the Bitcoin chain and staking it and basically delegating it to a validator on the core blockchain. And you earn a risk-free rate for that, right? Like you earn a percentage of Core's block rewards. We're coming with a dual staking model, which will be like if you put a proportion of Core stake as well, you're going to get boosted Bitcoin yields. So, we haven't shared the exact numbers yet, but you can anticipate getting much higher yields by staking a bit of Core as well. So we're really excited about that. And building off the back of this dual staking model, which also kind of ties Core more closely to the Bitcoin ecosystem, it kind of creates this flywheel where people want more Core, more utility for Core, and you get more, higher Bitcoin rates. On the back of that, we're launching this product called LST Bitcoin. And that's going to be basically an on-chain, think of it like staked ETH, right? Where it's an on-chain yield-bearing Bitcoin token that you can deploy into DeFi. You can pump it into a money market. You can, provide liquidity in a pool. Do other strategies with Bitcoin on chain, but it's earning yield. So a lot of use cases that are economic cases that may have not made sense make a lot of sense when you're earning a couple points of yield on top of it. So pretty excited about that product coming out and builders using it and leveraging it in a bunch of use cases. I think there'll be other LSTs launching, other Bitcoin derivatives on chain. So those are all super exciting things that Core is looking forward to. And then on the builder side, we're actually going to be. I mean, we haven't publicly announced this, but there'll be some sort of builder, a builder. Almost like an accelerator program called Core Commit, where there's a list of amazing ideas that the community would love to see be built on the Core blockchain, and teams will come in and build those products and get into the Core ecosystem, and that's going to be very exciting. Stay tuned for more news on that soon.
Where can people go to keep up with everything Core? Should they just go to the website? Should they go to socials? You have communities, documentation, resources. Where do you want to direct people?
Yeah, the best place is our Twitter. I was going to say website, but Twitter is the best. So it's Core DAO. So COREDAO_ORG. So Core DAO _org. And yeah, we're sharing really everything happening in the ecosystem. That's the best place to stay in touch. From there, there's a link tree. So you can go to our website, coredao.org, right? www.coredao.org. There it has links to our Discord, which is thanks like 250,000 people. That's like, if you want constant engagement, go to the Discord. If you want to have periodic engagement, Twitter's great. And then if you want to do reading, all our docs, everything's on our website.
Awesome. Love it. I'll put all that stuff in the description for the episode below. So it's also really easy for people to kind of find and sift through. And then if they want to get in contact with you at all, maybe there's, people that have more questions, or maybe they want to collaborate on something, or maybe they want to find a way to work together with Core. Is there a way to get in contact with you? Are you on socials? Are you on LinkedIn? Or what's the best place to go to get your attention?
Yeah, the best place is Twitter. Just first name, last name at Brendon Sedo, Brendonsedo. I should have mentioned where I'm contributing most. So I'm core ventures. So always looking for great projects that are looking for funding and want to build on the core ecosystem. So that's exciting. And then a lot of institutional BD and doing a few things on the ecosystem side as well. So anyone who basically wants to build on the core blockchain would love to get in touch.
Brendon, thank you for taking the time, man. This has been a really good episode. Learned a lot about Core, and I think a lot of people will be interested in the opportunity, especially if they're developers or they're miners as well. So, guys, if you're listening to this, watching, make sure to go check them out. Make sure to get in contact with Brendon as well. And again, Brendon, thank you again. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. That was a blast. Appreciate it.